Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're listening to That Infernal Noise, now part of the Mental Health News Radio Network.
Devil, not no more for these, you call me Ichigo. Now I let my aura grow as I pull my Zanpakuto. Let me introduce you, his name is Zangetsu. Well, he will only live if and when we let you. Been through a lot of things, killed oh so many hollows. Didn't know at first which path was the right to follow. I don't fight cause I want to win, I fight cause I have to. I will take my spirit energy and aim it right back at you. Fighting a nigga be Yakuya taught me a lot of things, like how to channel and harness all my hate and rage in the form of a bankai. I don't understand why I'm the only one fighting, all the others stand by. I'm not such a saint to promise that I'll risk my life for strangers. Neither am I scum enough to sit back while they're in danger. Everyone looking at me like I'm a superhero, like this is the Matrix and I'm playing Neo. But I'll see my duty through. What the fuck else would I do? Just let it all rot or leave it up to Udi. You a fuck all that now, cause I'm the one in full control. That is until the hollow takes control over my soul. I'm a fucking anime kid. 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 And if you don't like it, shut the motherfucker up.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to That Infernal Noise. If this is your first time, I thank you for coming. If you're coming back, I really appreciate it. I am the Tie-Dye Jedi, the Hardcore Hippie. I'm your host, Robert. And today's a special episode. It is May the 4th. And I know that sounds dorky, nerdy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But I'm a huge Star Wars fan, as you can see from all that shit. And there's more if I was to pan up and see it. You can see my Jedi flag and everything. Star Wars has been a gigantic part of my life. I mean, gigantic. I don't remember a time that I didn't know Star Wars. I remember the first time I watched Ghostbusters. I remember the first time I watched Ninja Turtles, etc., etc. I do not remember the first time I watched Star Wars. And the only other thing that I can say that about is, like, I Love Lucy. And it's a weird thing because me personally, I'm very connected to it. I mean, like, almost to a spiritual level connected to it. And I don't know how to explain it. Like, I really don't. Because today, for example, it is the 4th as I'm recording this, and it's just been like this clarity that I've had today. It's almost like the veil's being lifted, and usually I don't feel this, and I know this is going to sound woo-woo, I don't feel it unless it's around certain holidays or equinox, solstice, shit like that. Occasionally I'll feel it on a full moon. I know how that sounds, but there's something to it. There really is. Like, you don't necessarily control what you vibe with, I guess. And I spent so long pretending like I didn't that I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, I really don't. Like, this shit is as real as it gets to me. And not in the aspect that I believe the stories actually happened, yada yada. But it's real in the aspect that I think that there's something to it. There's something to the Force, the living Force. Like, it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. But if I had to pick a religion to believe in, or to start, or whatever, it would be the religion of the Force. Not necessarily Jediism, because I have certain issues with the doctrines set there forth. That's just me personally. Not saying I believe in the Sith tenets either, because that's a whole nother thing. I don't believe in greed and being selfish and whatnot. But I feel so connected to myself today. And that's not going to make sense to a lot of people. Whenever you spend the majority of your life disconnected, not just from yourself, but from the world around you, from people, from everything, and you try to distance yourself from certain things, negativity, for me at least, I try to distance myself from negativity. I try to distance myself from anything that would make me feel some kind of negative way. And I didn't realize it until today. Like, Nisha and I were talking, and it just dawned on me all of a sudden that I push things away that I'm afraid of making me feel, I guess. Like, I hadn't listened, like really listened. I've heard songs, but I hadn't listened to certain songs in a very long time. Songs that I love. What I'm talking about in particular is Stone Sour. And people, I'm sure, will have their opinions about that too. I don't give a fuck. And it was Come Whatever May, specifically, the album. I had a deep connection to that album. Like, it came out at a time that I was pretty fucked off. I mean, gone. And everything just kind of fell into place as far as the album sort of foretelling the future or whatever. Or maybe not the future, but the present, however you want to look at it. It was very on point for me at the time. And that was before Mandy and I broke up, before Nisha and I got together. And I realized today that I haven't really sat down and listened to it because I was afraid of the feelings that I had, or that would come up, or however you want to phrase it. And for some reason, it just like dawned on me today. And I realized that I've been hiding from myself, hiding from my feelings, my emotions. As much as I pride myself on trying to better myself and be present and understand my emotions, I really just ignored them. I meant not even ignored them necessarily, but I buried them. I buried them because I'm afraid of them. I'm afraid of feeling the way that I felt way back when. And I mean, at this point, it's close to 15 years ago. And I didn't know that about myself. Like, I thought I had been doing all the proper work and addressing everything. I've been making amends where I feel like I need to. You know, I talk more, all that shit. I don't know why I was hiding. And then, you know, I realized what the date is. And it's just, it makes me feel more connected to the story of Star Wars, to the characters, etc. Because I'm Anakin, I'm Obi-Wan, I'm Luke, Revan, all of that. I have all these different aspects and different facets of my personality that I realize now are probably from Star Wars. You know, and I've explained it before. It's like, I like the original trilogy because it's the one I grew up with, obviously. You know, we're about to celebrate the 46th anniversary of A New Hope here in what, 21 days? You know, Return of the Jedi just had its 40th. Well, it's actually out in theaters right now, but regardless. And it's just, I wanted to be Luke whenever I was a kid. You know, everybody wanted to be Han or what the fuck ever. But I wanted to be Luke. And in my opinion, he's not really the main character of those movies. If you really look at it, because it focuses more on Leia, Han, Vader, etc. Luke is the center focal point because he's the one that ties it all together. Obviously, he's the prodigal son, yada yada. I get all that. But he's just the one that wanted to do right. And I identified with that as a kid. As a kid, I always looked to the horizon. I always wanted something bigger, better. You know, I felt like I had this grandiose purpose in my life. And not saying that I don't, but that was me. It was like, I have to be here for a reason. Like, there's something more. There's whatever. And I still believe in that. You know, I don't want to be in the darkness. I want to be in the light. Do I have my moments of dark? Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely. And as I said a couple episodes ago, like, I try to use that dark productively. I try not to sit in it. I try to use it for strength as opposed to letting it take me to a dark place mentally. And then when it comes to the prequel trilogy, I'm Anakin. And I didn't even want to be Anakin. You know, I would like to have thought at the time that I was Obi-Wan. But I wasn't. I absolutely wasn't. Because whenever they came out, I was younger. I was old. Well, I was going to say older, but I wasn't older. I was teenage. I had a lot of the same hang-ups and issues. Like, why isn't there more? Why am I having to go through all this? Why this, that, and the other? Questioning everything. Very manipulative. Very easily manipulated. And just trying to find my way. And I didn't. I stumbled. I fell into the dark. I used people. I abused people. Every manner of heinous shit you can imagine, I did it. I'm not proud of it, but it's part of my journey. It's part of my story. And I wanted to be better. And I had the best intentions at certain points. But I was misguided. And then I was misguided by myself. You know, I was Anakin and the Emperor. I was telling myself all this shit that I had to be like this and I needed to do that. And like, I can't be soft. I can't do any of this emotional shit or addressing my actual issues. All of that shit. I couldn't do any of it because that's not what a man does. And I know some people will probably say that I'm stretching what Anakin was going through, but I mean, being a teenager watching it, I didn't get it. Being an adult looking back at it, having kids that age, all that shit, it made me realize like exactly what he was going through. It's like I identified with him, but I didn't know why. And now as an adult, the sequel trilogies come out. And as critical as everybody was of Luke's portrayal in it, I went back to being Luke Skywalker. after going through all that shit, the entire story, Luke and myself, my entire story, I just wanted to be left alone. And it took me a while to realize that. I isolated myself. I became a hermit. And nobody understood. Well, not nobody. I'm sure there were people, but the vast majority of people I saw discussing it were like, that's not the Luke Skywalker we grew up with, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, you have to frame it that he's not a superhero. He's not infallible. He's a person. He's a person with fantastic powers and abilities, but he's still a person. He still has hang-ups and all the mental shit that he's gone through. Losing his father, watching all of that shit happen, knowing that he was like the heir to the empire. And I know I shouldn't say that because that's Thrawn, but whatever. And he made the right choice, by the way. Anyway. But he lost his father. He had to go through all the shit finding out Leia was his sister. Depending on which storyline you go down, I'll stay canon just because there's a lot more shit in the Legends universe. But he had to go through the trouble of rebuilding the Jedi Order, of training his nephew, watching the darkness built in him, and then ultimately losing his Jedi Order at the hands of his nephew. And that's just a whole mindfuck in and of itself. And like, everybody was, I don't understand why he's on the fucking island by himself and blah, 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 blah. I do. I absolutely do. Because if I had that option, no kids, no wife, no nothing, I'd just go live on an island somewhere by myself. Just to spare everybody the bullshit that comes with dealing with me. And just listening to the way he talks in The Last Jedi, it's like that's exactly how he thought. Like, I'm the great Luke Skywalker, and I couldn't do anything. And that's a lot how I felt. It's like, I'm supposed to be the Rock. I'm supposed to be this strong fucking alpha dude thing. And I'm not. Like, I take care of my family. I'm the Rock when it's needed, but as far as me personally, like, now I realize I'm moments away from crumbling at any given point. And not necessarily in a bad way. I mean, because we all need to break down occasionally just to rebuild, if nothing else. But in the aspect that it's like always right there. Always. And not where it's a downer or anything like that. I'm just, as I've gotten older, I've become painfully aware of exactly what I am and what is going on. Where I am mentally. What my head wants to do. And it's not near as macabre as it used to be, luckily. I've grown past that because I've had a lot of time to work on myself and figure out exactly who I am as a person. But it's still there. And that's the part that a lot of people don't talk about. I was like, oh, it's all fixed. Like, I went to therapy, I did medication, I did this, I did that, and I'm better now. I'm better than I was. I will freely admit that. It's light years difference from where I was to where I am. And I admit that. And I'm happy about that. But the part of the struggle that people don't talk about is that you can slip. You can slip, you can fall, you can bust your fucking face. And I have several times. Now they're few and far between, luckily. Because I have a good core around me. I have my Jedi Order. You know, I have my Skywalker family. There's so many people that I lean on, and that I try to be available for them to lean on me, but some of them are more hard-headed than others. And whoever hears this knows exactly who I'm talking about. But we all come to it in our own time. I just feel really connected today. I feel really present and cognizant of everything. My past, my present, what I want for the future. You know, I'm not living in the past anymore. I'm understanding it so I can continue to get better and avoid the same mistakes, I guess. Because I have always been of the opinion that I try to make each mistake once. I find new and creative ways to fuck up. And I believe I've said that on the podcast before. But regardless. And I think that's important. But I also think it's important to not run from shit. And I didn't think I was. But now I realize that I was doing exactly that. I was running from shit. I was avoiding things purposely so I wouldn't feel certain things or wouldn't have the opportunity to feel certain things. And now I'm not going to do that anymore. I can't. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to Niche, because since my grandma passed, she's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and I didn't realize until today. You know, because I'm planning on going out and visiting her for her birthday on the 9th. Show her my tattoo and just talk to her. And I know I can talk to her anytime, but it's important to me that I go out there. And Niche asked me today, actually that's what started the whole thing. Niche asked me today, she was like, do you want me to go out there with you? I'm like, do you need me there? And I really thought about it. And that's when I realized, it's like, no, like I need to do this on my own. Not because I feel like I have to, but because I feel like I need to. I can't continue using her as a crutch. And I have since whenever the fuck. I can't even say when she passed because it was way before that. And now I'm to the point where it's just like, no, I've got to deal with this shit myself. And not that I don't have a good support system, not that she is not the best partner I could have ever asked for. It's none of that. It's because I can't continue to let her carry me. And yeah, it wasn't intentional. I didn't even realize I was fucking doing it until today. And she's not salty about it. She didn't think that. None of that shit. But I realized it. And now it's my turn. You know, I don't give a shit how hard it is. Like, I have to do something to change it. And that's how I've been throughout this entire journey. Like, I have to change all the shit that I don't like about myself, or that I'm not happy with, or it doesn't serve me anymore, however you want to look at it. And that's what I'm doing. That's what today is. Maybe I use Star Wars as motivation, because I've learned more from the stories that I've heard from Star Wars than anything else. Literally anything else. Every fandom that I have outside of it gets compared to it. Intentionally. Because it's the one thing that I understand better than anything. Or I feel like I understand. And it's the thing that I'm the most connected to. Today feels like the mantra that was in Rogue One. And that's become a thing since then. As far as like the main part of the continuity and all that. I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me. Like, I feel really connected to everything today. Maybe I was going to be connected to it anyway. Maybe it's because it's May 4th. And there's a lot of power in words and thoughts and ideas. And there's a lot of people today that may the 4th be with you. Knowing what it means. May the Force be with you. So maybe the veil is thinner. Maybe there is something to the woo-woo. I feel it, at least. Regardless if anybody else feels it. And it's a really interesting feeling to feel really connected to everything. And yeah, maybe I'm reaching or in saying that it's because of that. But it's how I look at religion. It's not for me. But anybody that gets something out of it, more power to you. That's how I feel about this. It's not for everybody, but it's for me. I enjoy it. Makes me happy. Makes me feel whole, I guess. Which is odd to say, but it's true. And I enjoy it. And it makes me happy. And if my connection to this is what is facilitating my growth and my progression, fuck it. I'll be the dorky, nerdy motherfucker that's obsessed with Star Wars the rest of my life. Doesn't bother me. Done it so far. Today's a good day. I know it sounds like I'm very morose and down, but I'm really not. Like, I'm at peace. Like, I found peace in all this. And it's pretty cool. So today, I encourage everybody to find their peace. Whatever the fuck it is. If it's nerdy shit, if it's just hanging out with your friends, if it's reading a book, if it's going for a walk, if it's whatever. Just do it. Fuck everybody else. You can take however much time during your day to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Work will still be there. Life will still be there. All of that. My plan for today, after all of this, and dealing with the realizations and all that stuff, I'm going to beat fucking Jedi Survivor. I've been playing it. I haven't had the time to beat it. I'm going to beat it today. And I think it's fitting that it is May 4th. Find your peace. Don't let the noise make you. You make the noise.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. If you like the show or know somebody who would, please subscribe and share to help us grow the show. You can follow us on all socials at thatinfernalnpc. You can listen on YouTube and Podbean at That Infernal Noise or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.